everybody, it's Sharon here. Welcome back to my channel for those who are returning, and welcome to any new subscribers that may be visiting for the first time. So I'm back in my mixed media room today. I've been busy in here this morning shifting furniture around and putting up my desk out of my other craft space back into this room, which is where it was originally. So I have that to my left, and it's exciting to have it finally set up. I have it covered in things at the moment that I have to sort through, but to have it in this space is fabulous. I also have my big box that I keep usually to my right that I pop my finished pieces into when they're drying. So I've sort of switched positions and I'll see how that works for me. I also have a heater on under my desk, and I'm hoping it's not too loud for you. I can hear it sort of, it's kind of like a gentle hum in the background, so I'm hoping that's all it translates into on camera. So I have scraps. Let me tell you, I have scraps. So you may have watched a previous video where I played with my fussy cutting scraps on my jelly plate. I have this huge, whoops, I'm losing some, huge basket of paper scraps. They're mostly matte photo paper. And I also have this little basket full of smaller paper scraps. And you guessed it, there's more. I have this little drawer of paper scraps as well. Now, I've been fussy cutting and fussy cutting and fussy cutting, and I'm keeping all of my scraps. It got me to thinking when I was playing with my pieces of ephemera that I made just recently using my papers that I did on my jelly plate. It got me wondering how small is too small. So when I first started playing with my papers that I printed on the jelly plate with, I was using these larger scraps and actually using them to make ephemera with. Over the last couple of months, I've got to wondering how small is too small. Some of the pieces that I've been using have been more like these. Sorry, I just bumped the camera. My apologies. More like these little strips here. And I've just been cutting the larger pieces to this smaller size. So I started keeping the smaller pieces as well. And as you see from here, I've kept some itty bitty tiny pieces. Now, I'm not necessarily thinking I will use these when I craft, but I have wondered whether they would be fun to add a bit of texture to my print. So I kept those. No idea if I'll use them. I have my new Sonja's paints here. I purchased recently and I shared in a collecting and gathering video. So I have cadmium orange, celadon, Payne's grey, silver, burnished copper and gold. Okay, now I have no idea what paints I want to use. My other Sonja's paints are behind me, and I'm kind of feeling like I want to play with those. I haven't played with them for a little bit. I don't know. The Payne's grey, I've been excited to play with this colour. I thought it may have had a seal over it, but it doesn't. So what do I want? Oh yes, they are much more liquid than my other Sonja's paints. I have often wondered whether the consistency of my Sonja's paints had more to do with their age. I'm going to go in with this cadmium orange. I really don't want a lot. It's kind of fun to use the newer paints. Do I want gold or copper? I like the depth of color of the copper. I think I'll go with that. It's interesting to see the consistency difference between the paints that I was gifted. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that the Sonja's paints that I've been using were gifted to me, and I am so in love with these paints. And I had wondered whether their thickness had to do with their age, and it appears to me just from this coverage, which I'm loving by the way, that is the case. So what to do. It's not a thick coverage, so I may have to go in for another layer. I might do a larger strip just for time, and because I've got the heater going, I feel like they may dry out a little bit quicker than perhaps they would if I didn't have the heater on. So I hope you're all fabulous. I'm not sure how much of this process I will video. I just wanted to show you I was doing these, show you I was using my new paints, because that's always exciting to use new resources. And I'm really excited to make some more of these painted strips because I am loving them in my creativity so much. So I'm going to use these smaller strips, the perfect size for that little section there. So these are all the scraps that I keep when fussy cutting digital kits to use in my crafting. So mostly the focal points that I use when I fussy cut those, either journaling cards or, well, not journaling cards, but images that I use on the journaling cards. Sometimes it's difficult to tell with this matte photo paper whether it's the right way around or upside down. So I'm noticing a couple of pieces maybe upside down, but never mind. Now I have some pieces of painty papers here that have been sitting on my desk. I'm just going to use those as my cover sheet. See if I can get some more paint and colours on those. Not really sure how much of an impression I will get with these because it was such a light, wow, look at that, it's so light. Okay, so I definitely need more paint. Oh, isn't that pretty? I didn't expect that. That is so subtle. Completely different coverage to what I've been getting with my old paints. Okay, so one's just fallen in my lap. Not much on some of these, that's okay. I'm really just in here to play and experiment and see what I can get. Testing out my new paints, which is fun. We have to make friends yet. We have to get to know each other and our boundaries. Okay. So this is great. This is a really good learning curve to show me that I need a bit more paint. Okay, so what I might do is, I have this is a titanium white, and it is a PBO. I'm just going to go in with a little bit of that. I'm going to pull up that excess paint, I think, just onto a piece of paper, just normal copy paper if I have some here, or I have some like packaging. Actually, I've got some packaging tissue paper that I wouldn't mind using. I might use that. I've got no idea how much paint is actually left on this jelly plate, so really would like to find the scratchy part of that. So this packaging packaging paper here. I love the feel and texture. It's not really a tissue paper, but it's not really a tracing paper. I'd love to know what it's called because I'd love to actually be able to source some to purchase. So if anybody can help me out with that. I've looked and looked and I haven't had any luck figuring out what it's called. It's stronger than tissue. I do want this because I'm not going to pop anything else over that. Well, isn't that fun? Okay, so that's given me a little food for thought as well. I haven't set up my room properly after shifting things around this morning, and I've got bags and boxes and whatnot all over the place, and one of my little strips has just fallen into one of the bags that's sitting near my desk. I couldn't pick it up. Okay, this is fun. This has got lots of crinkly texture to it as well, which I am loving, and I'm loving the effect it's leaving on my jelly plate. Oh my goodness, I love that. Oh, I really want more of that paper. I love that paper. So fun. Okay, I'm loving the texture detail on there. So I want to go back in with those colors. I just remembered I used the orange and I'd forgotten that I'd used the orange. I really love that, the way it's translated. Okay, so going in with just a fraction more. So basically I've gone for 2 smaller more dots than I did the first time around. So I'll try that. And back in with the copper. Whoops, that was a bigger dollop than I planned. A little more orange in this one. Oops. If you're wondering what I have my jelly plate sitting on, it's actually on like a flooring tile. We have a shop nearby that sells secondhand or unused building supplies, and I picked it up from there. So I may go in with just a little of that white, I'm thinking. Don't want a lot. So tempted to do a paper pull right now as a whole sheet and not my little strips, but it was the strips I came in to do, so it is the strips I'm going to use. I think I could spend, I'm going to go back over these. I think I could spend a whole day of jelly printing and still not do everything I want to do to satisfy my curiosity. I've seen lots of people using the Payne's Grey, and I've really wondered exactly what that colour is like. Not necessarily in this brand, but other brands. And just from the couple of prints I've done already, I can tell we are going to be great friends. Okay, so I have my little itty bitty strips. A little bit wonky there at one stage, that's okay. I've missed picking up one. And I actually have room there for one or two more. Put my finger in there. I do apologise if you can hear my squeaky chair. Okay, I might see if I can pick up some more of that colour with this. It's much darker. Just kind of going around the edges with this piece of paper. So that added a little depth to there, and I love that it's the same colour palette. Oops. That's the downside of having my cover sheet on top of my little scrap box. I am going to go back over with this. No, I didn't pick up any more paper, paint even. Okay, this is much darker, but isn't that pretty? Wondering if I can pick up some of that. Nope, it doesn't want to shift. That's okay. Oh my gosh, I love that I can see the detail from that tissue paper texture that it left. That's super pretty. Then maybe we'll need a little bit more. Just going to turn my heater off. Okay, I maybe want to go over these. They've dried out a little bit faster. My jelly plate isn't quite where I need it to be just yet. Loving the shimmer. Love that piece. I love that one as well. May go over that with just a little. And that one as well. That's fun. I feel like I'd be happy with an in-between the paint coverage that I have here and the first one that I did. So maybe instead of, I went from 1 to 3 small dollops of each colour, maybe I need to go with 2 and see what that brings me. These are all fabulous, these little ones. Perhaps that one needs a bit more. And that one too. Okay. So the Payne's grey. The orange. And I'm going to go in with the same colours again, but I might add the white to this mix and soften those tones a little bit and hopefully add a little depth to this pull. Okay. So I'm just kind of filling in with these. Getting some layering with the paint, which I really love. Love it. Fabulous. I'm glad I went with a little bit of white through that paint because it's actually making it look layered over the white areas that I'm covering, so you can see a difference. That's fun. I love that. I love that. Okay, so now I have that as is. I think I'm just going to go over with a little bit more white and do some more trying to decide whether to do some more of the tissue or whether to do some more of the photo paper. I might do the photo paper and see how it comes out. I don't know that some of these areas will have enough paint, but we'll give it a whirl. So I've got a wet cloth here. I'm just going to move that to the side. I'm going to take my cover sheet and I'm just going to roll this off. So that's what I've done there. Okay, so you can see it does take a moment to lay all your separate pieces of paper out, but trust me, it is so worth it when you get to play with these when making journal ephemera and such. I really do love using them, and it makes me really happy to know that I'm not wasting. I mean, that's a lot of paper in those containers that I have ready to cover and use, and if I was throwing those out, that would be such a waste. It really is a fun resource. Okay, again, some of these may need a little bit. Oh, isn't that fun? I don't know if you can see this dark texture in here, but I'm guessing that's come from that tissue paper. So these all need a little bit extra, I think. Loving them. I'm going to pop them over here. The ones that I need to add more to. Super fun. The colours are really unexpected for me, given I use the Payne's Grey, Orange and Copper. I am seeing the copper obviously because it has that shimmer, but having that really brown tone, I'm loving that combination. I didn't know whether the paints would mix as much as they have, or whether I'd have more of a differentiation between the grey and the orange. But we all know I love neutrals, so I am loving this. Oh, that's so fun. That just needs a little top up. Okay, it's kind of too cold in here without the heater, and then it gets too warm with the heater, so you'll have to bear with me while I change it up as necessary. Okay, what do I want to do? I feel like a blue. Actually, I have the carbon black here. I'm going to go in with just a fraction. It's going to be quite thick because it's very old. I don't know how it will. I like that it's kind of attaching to the paint that's already there. One thing I really love about the Gelli plate is that it's a great way to utilise paints that have probably got to their use by date as far as other applications are concerned. Like, I would perhaps consider throwing them out if it wasn't for the Gelli plate. Just a little bit more. I'm really loving that speckled look that that black has given. And I wouldn't get the same application with a fresh paint. It's kind of like having aged scratches over it without trying. So still looking for my blue, just excuse me. Okay, here's one here. So this is Storm Blue. Again, it's an older paint. Actually, I might put a second. And some white. I have no idea how this will look. Okay, so I want to, I still don't have enough room on my desk. I really do need to sort my space out. Oh, that's pretty. So you can see that roll off there. Okay, so I think I'm just going to go in with my whole piece. I wasn't going to. I might just do part of this one. Okay, I'm not getting as much application, so what I might do is pull this up. That's really fun. I might go over the whole thing again with some white. Just giving it something to hold on to. The paint's drying out quite quickly because, well, probably because I have the heater on, but it's also a very thin application. So by adding another light layer of white, I'm hoping that'll give it something to hold on to pull the paint up that's underneath. Okay, so just going for gold here. Adding to my layers. I'm really loving the look of the jelly plate right now. Being a jigsaw puzzle here. I have no idea if I'll get all the pieces back in. But I did. Okay, so using my cover sheet, I'm going to really let that take a hold. I have high expectations for these colours. I'm excited, so I'm hoping they don't let me down. Should have gone in with my little piece of tissue paper. I didn't think about that. Oh, isn't that fun? Okay, let's see what we have. Oh my goodness. I love that. I'm wondering if it could lend itself to a little more. That's really fun. I love that. It has an almost steel and rust look about it to me. Loving. That one needs a bit more. That one could use maybe a touch more. I could paint all over my fingers already. I feel like I've just started, but I haven't really. Oh my gosh, they look pretty with the other papers that I've already got in my tray. I might add a little bit more to that. pretty happy with that one. Might need a fraction more on that. Love that. Oh my gosh. I can see the black coming through really well on that. Just a really subtle detail. Could possibly touch that one up a fraction. And maybe even that one. Okay. So going to go in, oops, go in with the storm blue again, just small amounts, and a little white. Now what can I get with these? Well, that's pretty. Yep, really like that. Just looking at covering up the little bits of white that have been left. I don't want anything really heavy. Love that. Well, that really dark bit is a really fun depth. Well, that's really fun. Okay, I'm going to play with that some more. So I'm kind of dipping it into the deeper parts and then into the lighter parts to add a depth. My paints are drying a little bit now. Might just add a little more white. The reason I'm adding the white again is to give it something to grab a hold of. There's still paint on my jelly plate, but it's dried out, so this little spot here I'm trying to cover and it just doesn't want to cover, so I'm going to call that done. Like that. I feel like I need a little more colour on here for this part, so I'm going to layer up and some white. So that was the storm blue. I'm going in with a little white. to top that with just a fraction of the black. I'm squeezing that quite hard to get paint out. It really is very dry. I can feel it's quite lumpy inside. Okay, I think it needs a bit more white over the top. Okay, we'll try that. For the coverage. That's really fun. Okay, so I might I'm loving that. I just need to check my time. I can probably do a couple more. I do find I get a bit stuck on color combinations when I do this, so it's always good to walk away and come back. So this is the Payne's Grey. This is the black, in case you hadn't noticed from the thickness. Don't want to mess with that too much because I don't want to pull up too much. Okay, I'm going to go in with the orange and maybe the white so I can tone that orange down a little bit. I'm not actually mixing it with the Payne's Grey this time. I'm popping them down as two separate layers. So I'm still sticking to the same color tones, but I'm kind of playing on how they work together. Really pretty to me. I'm going to let that dry for just a moment and I'm going to go back in with more white. It's so tempting to do just a paper pull right now. I do want to roll off my roller. That's what I've ended up with. It's a little bit more muddy, this colour, I think. Sorry, I'm bumping the camera. I'm trying to get my longer strips of photo paper. Okay. So I've got my tissue here. It's like a packaging tissue, I think. Kind of reminds me of the, you know, the tissue you find in the scrunched up at the end of shoes when you buy new shoes. Okay, a couple of little extra details. Okay, he's hoping we love them. Actually, I might go back in just one more time. Just really want to make sure they're burnished. I could use my roller for this too, but I'm choosing to just use my hand. I do love the colours. I wasn't sure they'd be a bit muddy. I will have to go over them, that's okay. Even that one that is a little bit muddy is really pretty mud. There really is some depth coming out in the colours now. I often say I just feel like I start to get my jelly plate to where I want it to be and it's time to stop. These are so fun. Okay, so I'm thinking maybe the skin tone and maybe a little bit more blue. So this is the Storm Blue. I think it's become one of my favourite colours in this range. And the Skin Tone is one of my favourites as well. It's a really good neutral. It's, oops, I've got way too much there. It's a really good neutral colour, but it's nice and light, which is why I really love it. Okay, drying really quickly. I think working with my heater on is not a very good idea. But then working without it really wouldn't be much of a fun option right now. It is so cold here. We actually had sun today for the first time in about a week, which was really lovely. But just as I went to start videoing, the sun has disappeared behind the cloud and it's cooled right down. I thought it was safe to come back out here. I'm not going to do any more to that. I like that as it is. Some of these don't need a lot. Happy with that. So I'm using my tissue again. Okay. Oops, I missed one. Never mind. Oh yes, I love that. Possibly needs a little bit more. Really happy with that one. That one could use a fraction more. I think that one could too. They all might be the same. So could that. Managed to turn my heater off again, I think, so I can finish up. Okay, I'm going to go in with those same colours, so storm blue, and the skin tone, oops, and some white, and I might do a little Payne's grey with the white, I think. Oops. Okay, so I have my tissue here again. I'm going to see if I can pick some of that colour up. Oh my gosh, that's really fun. Okay. I'm loving that paper. Okay, I don't mind that one. Just a couple of areas that didn't get covered that I hoped would. That one's quite good. I like that. That one's pretty. So is that one. I love that. It's really fun too. Making me really happy. Oh gosh, that's pretty. Okay, so just one that I feel like may need a little bit more. I'm going to cover this with some white. I'm going to be fairly liberal. Kind of need to finish up now, so I don't know how long I've been videoing for, but I feel like it's probably about time, if not a little over, at a guess. Just trying to pick up a little of that colour from the edges. I'm happier with that now. Yes. That's better. Okay, so again with more white and oops. And maybe a little of the skin tone. Done that up very tight. Okay. And I'm going to go over with my cover sheet. This is going to send all those colours to the background. I'm hoping it won't be too much. Take this roller. Gosh, that's pretty. Oh wow, I think that just finished it off beautifully. Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay, so that finishes our jelly printing session this time. I love what I've made. We've sort of stuck to similar colour tones, but that's okay because the next time I have a play I will use different colour tones and come up with a whole new set. So I hope you've enjoyed watching these come together. I really love them. I love the colours and it's been really fun to use some new Sonja's paints. Makes me want more, but all good things come to those who wait. So a huge thank you to you all for watching, and please everybody stay safe, stay inspired and happy crafting. I look forward to seeing you all soon. Bye for now.